About 20 years now. Customer service, it's impeccable. Yeah, we have 65 offices, plus or minus nationwide, and whether I call or one of my guys calls, I can always trust that the answer they're going to get is the correct one. We have various skill sets from CIHs down to technicians. Any one of those guys can call and get the right answer. I was actually on a project recently where I was doing some M-chip sampling, and having not done it before, it was nice going to a lab that actually was providing services for the customer previously. So I could actually talk to the lab, get some answers on how the analysis was going to be performed, how the results would look, and how I could interpret the data. So that was great, seeing as I was actually the one in the field doing the work, trying to figure out how I was going to write the report, sitting in front of the customer. So that helped out a lot. Usually the people. I mean, I picture faces. I picture Joe and Mary and Ed and Pam Weaver. Whoever I get on the phone usually takes care of my questions and answers. So, but I've known those guys for that long now that if somebody asks, if somebody says, what lab would I use, I would say call Ed or call Pam.
Just over 11 years. Yeah, we use Galson, day and night, anytime, holidays, weekends. When we have an emergency, we can pick up the phone. If we need additional sampling media or equipment, we know we can call. We know they're going to answer the phone. There's been times where we've had to fly samples in on a private plane, and one example I remember, we flew samples in at 3 o'clock in the morning. They met the plane at the airport, took those samples, had them analyzed before 9 a.m. So that we could get our operations back up and running for our customer. Availability, responsiveness, those are the two big things for us.
I've been using their services for the last 5 years. We use the free pump loan, we use the equipment rental, we use just about everything they offer. Customer service is excellent. You can call them anytime you want, night or day. You can call them last minute and you'll get everything you need. The people are always friendly, helpful. If you need additional things, they'll ask you if you need anything else in addition to what you're sampling for. In case you forgot something, they can offer things to help you. Everything you need is in the one package. It's ready to go. It's one-stop shopping. We used another client one time, or another laboratory, and we were disappointed when we got to our site, opened up the box, and we were missing tubing and connectors. With Galson, you know that when you get there, it kind of spoil you because you get used to having all that. Clients call rush, they needed something next day, or immediately, and we can call them up, and 15 minutes later we'll have our prep waiting for us. Customer service, quality. You're going to get everything you need. It's going to be top-notch, and your results from the lab are going to be excellent. They stand behind their product, so it's quality.
We've been using Galson since probably 2001. Primarily industrial hygiene sampling, so mainly IH support. We've always, the quality's always been great. The turnaround's excellent. I've never had a problem with not getting my results in the time frame that they've always committed to, and their service is great. The fact that the customer support's always there, we can always call with questions and always get a quick turnaround on answers that we need. We do all the time, actually, and that's another great plus of using Galson. The competitive nature in just the laboratory field, and their service and turnaround and quality, all the whole package.
Four to 5 years. The sampling events that we have are a kind of one-time event. It's not something that, oh, if this one doesn't work out, you just do it again. So I've always had very good experience. So they said they will do something, it happens, we're able to capture that one-time event and get actual results. It's great. They're usually very knowledgeable, and if they don't know, they're not afraid to say that and get the answer. So I've had very good luck with their service. Particularly, I would say international projects. So I do a fair amount of international work, and that can be a little tricky with just the logistics, the shipping, and sometimes the sampling changes, and so they were able to respond pretty quickly. When I'm in 5 to 10 time zones away, they're able to respond and I don't know if I'd say improvise, but make corrections on the fly to salvage an event. I would say reliability. If I was to try to sum it up in a word, they definitely can make some pretty good promises, but they always come through with those promises, and very reliable in following through with what they say they can do.
Many, 15.
15 years?
Maybe more. The service is good, the customer service is good, the quality of the analysis is good, the expertise that we know the lab has by asking technical questions about analytical methods, the capabilities, the pairing of analytes on the same media, that type of thing. That's all good information to know. This responsiveness by email to the correct parties at my company, the people that need to know, and the general service and the relationship that we have with the lab. Getting media, we do a lot of work in China. Sometimes there is some difficulty getting samples to and from our office in Beijing. Galson works with us on that. So they're the real deal. Probably one of the best parts of the relationship is the consistency of the relationship between Hygiene Tech and Galson. And you don't always receive that in relationships between vendors and contractors. The data are received promptly. The reports go to the proper individuals at the firm, both in the headquarters in LA and the varying parties in our Beijing office, which is our Asian headquarters. The data are in the right units. The analytes are exactly what we asked for. The chain of custody document comes through with the report. The bills are clear. They go to the right facility as well. They go to the headquarters, for example, as opposed to the Beijing office. I mentioned Beijing a number of times because they actually get most of the samples that we have done at Galson. Quality of service.
No doubt about that. I trust that the data are what the lab says they are, and the analytical limits are appropriate for the type of work that we do. Analytical limits, of course, vary with varying volumes for the samples collected. If we're doing an indoor air quality study, we might be, for example, interested in lower detection limits. We'll contact Gulson Laboratories and find out how low they can go, what's achievable, and then we can evaluate whether that is appropriate for the test. Sometimes the international standards are such that it's difficult to make them mesh with the analytical methods that are devised and validated in this country. So we often need to find out whether we can record data that satisfy the American standards, OSHA standards, and the occupational exposure limit standards in a foreign country. We don't only do work in China. Among the Asian nations, we've done work as far west as Turkey and as far east as Japan in Asia, with many points in between. Most of those points are in China.
I've been using Gulson for over 20 years. I love the service that they give me. The analytical portion of Gulson is wonderful. I can get odd types of analyses, always get a quality product. They give it to me on time. If I am a demanding customer and I need something very quickly, they can always rush a sample through. We've had a couple of samples that we sent off to the lab, and we needed a 24-hour turnaround, and they were able to provide that without any problem whatsoever. I have done weekends, I've done holidays. We're a 24/7 plant, and that facility is always open, and there are times when we have emergency situations come up. I've taken samples and sent them off to the laboratory, and they've picked them up on the weekend. They've picked them up nights and gotten that turnaround time, you know, back to me when I needed it very quickly. Quality, service, wonderful customer service. I can always depend on them to get me what I need in a timely fashion, with a minimum of fuss, at a great price.